Yeah. Without germs, your body wouldn't be able to do what it needs to do. Germs are not necessarily bad.
Some germs are good for your body.
Some germs are good.
All
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Were there any big questions from the homework last night? Again, that folder link got sent to your parents. So hopefully if you need any help, you can ask them to pull up that Google folder that I sent out to them. And you can use that for help tool. Everybody had their assignment written down in their plan book, hopefully. Hopefully you've learned that you just need to play along with that game with us. It is actually helpful to you. So please make sure that it's written down in your plan book. And guys, one of the things that I hope you're starting to learn about Phoenix is like, it's not like, oh no, I didn't write it down yet. Now I need to hide behind like and say nothing about, like you can just be like, hey, no, I need to get it still. Like I came in late. Like it's okay. We just want to make sure that we're all doing the same stuff together. 1, 2, 3 through 1, 2, 5. So yeah, tonight's homework is getting collected tomorrow. We should be doing homework the day it's assigned. Also, I've had that posted since Tuesday, so you know like what the assignment is. So please get this taken care of tonight. If you have issues, ask your parents to pull up that folder. And I mean, you can reach out to me, of course. But like last night, somebody reached out to me and I was in the middle of an online meeting for my fraternity alumni. Like I was in a Google Hangout, so I couldn't really like help somebody with math because I was currently in a Google Hangout with some other people. So if I don't get back to you immediately, please don't freak out. Like I will try to respond to you or respond to you the next morning. Like somebody sent me their homework digitally as a Google Doc asking a question, and I just now got that response to them this morning. I will help you. I will take care of you, but it can't always be immediately. So that's kind of right. So we talked about this I think 2 weeks ago. Last time I assigned homework on Friday. Friday assigned homework doesn't really have to be done on Friday or Saturday or Sunday because I will not collect it until the earliest of Tuesday the next week. However, it needs done at some point, right? So if you want to go ahead and do it today, sure, dive in and try it today. If you want to do it tomorrow over the weekend, great. If you want to put it off till Monday, that's your choice. I wouldn't necessarily advise that. Sometimes that will be the same as Monday's homework. Other times we have other homework on Monday. So you might have like, if you put it off till Monday, you might have like 10 questions that you have to do on the same night, which is still not crazy. Anybody feel like reading this morning? Go ahead and hit us with it. Win probability is down to the question. Yep.
When probabilities and portions are expressed as fractions, they can sometimes be difficult to compare. For example, is it 2/5 probability of winning a game greater than 3/7 probability?
So what's your gut reaction? Don't say it out loud, but what do you think? Is 2/5 better or is 3/7 better? And I'm not 100% sure when I look at it right now. All right, Layla, keep going.
Oh, okay. In lesson 1.1.5, you use different ways to represent, a portion to help figure out whether 0.9.
Yeah, 0.9 repeating.
Yeah, okay. Is equal to 1. In this lesson, you will develop strategies for rewriting fractions so you can compare different portions.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we want to get used to this model right here, the triangle model. So if you do not have a piece of paper out for notes, whether it's yesterday's notes or a new one for today, sorry, I don't know why this is a compressed 7/8 slide. This is your homework. This says the wrong thing. I'm on the wrong slide. But yeah, sorry, this was your homework for Math 7. That's going to make that video complicated. But regardless of that, let's label our notes 1, 2, 5. And guys, if you are not getting in this habit yet, you need to get in this habit of getting out notes papers as soon as you're in class, getting that header on for the current lesson that we're going to be doing so that you're ready to go. And I'm actually just going to label it more with fractions. You can always safely assume we will be writing on graph paper in math. Whether it's like a quiz, a mastery, whatever else, you can always assume you have to have a writing utensil of your choosing. I want to be that specific. If you really want to do math in pen, that's your choice, but I don't even do that. I'm a big fan of the 0.9 lead pencils to 0.7. I break all the time.
Yeah, 0.7 breaks all the time.
So we're going to do more with fractions today. This should be a pretty straightforward lesson. Hopefully we're starting to develop these skills pretty well. But in 95, we're given the fraction 10/25. So go ahead and write that down, please. And who is it? Leela. That's funny since Layla just read this. Leela wants to rewrite 10/25 as a decimal and as a percent. Now it says as a percent, but we know that to get the percents, it's easiest to kind of think of decimal first. So she sets up this little square grid thing, right? So she has 10 of 25 squares shaded. And she then starts thinking, well, if I want to turn this into a decimal or a percent, I need to make the bottom into a 100. So here's really what Layla does. Visually speaking, that is. We've been doing this algebraically, doing the math, and we looked at 1 yesterday where we visualized it. But if I had 25 squares, to make it a denominator of 100, turn your same space. Notice this region, the big square, is the same as this big square. I'm not changing the amount of space I'm talking about. I'm just changing how many pieces I break it up into. So then we move 10 for each of the 25s. So now we have 40 out of the 100 when I regroup and put all those together. So, stop. This square is exactly the same as this square, is exactly the same as this square. Just different ways to represent it. So on our paper, we would show that math using what 2 options? We talked yesterday about both the 2 options. The giant 1, we're up here doing sign language, which I love it, or the other method that I think most of you prefer over the giant 1. I don't care which method you prefer, I really don't. Kevin? The arrows, right? The multiplication arrows, because we can multiply or divide. Remember, I need to put what I'm multiplying at least one place, and I could put it both if I want. And this becomes our 40 over 100 that we just saw. Now, we talked a lot about how this just turns into 40%, but I want to take a moment, sit right there and play How I Became the Prince of a Town called Bel Air. No, sorry, it just in my head, as soon as I said take a moment, it was Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Fresh Prince of Bel Air. 40 hundredths. 40 hundredths is the exact same, and I helped a couple people on their homework last night, as 4 tenths. Right, so I chop a 0 off the top and chop a 0 off the bottom. All I really did was divide by 10, which this is the same thing as 4 tenths. 40 hundredths and 4 tenths are seriously identical. But the reason that we like to write it like this and potentially even write it out like this, putting that extra 0, is to convert a decimal into a percent value. We just bump the decimal to the right 2 places, and we get 40%. Now, most of us can look at this before I crossed out the zeros and say, yeah, that's 40%. But if we are given the decimal and not the fraction maybe, or if the decimal's weird, like it has 3 or 4 or 5 numbers in the decimal places, all we got to do is bump the decimal to the right 2 places. So, wonderful question. Why 2 places? Joey says. This number, so pencils down. This number, 0.40, is the same thing as 40 hundredths, same thing as everything we have written up here. But any number by itself is just that. Sorry, I gotta rewrite this. I was gonna erase and do that. 0.4 is the same as 0.4 divided by 100. Or, sorry, 0.4 divided by 1, right? Because when I divide by 1, nothing happens. So, are we okay with this? Nathan, you good with this? Brandon, I got people not looking up here, and we good with, because division by 1 doesn't change anything. Okay, so if I say Layla divided by 1, good, she's still the whole thing. But if I say divided by 2, we're cutting you in half, and that's good. So, divide by 1 does nothing. But if I want to make this a percentage, what does percent mean? out of 100, right? Or for every 100. This has to become 100. How do I do that? Well, we don't talk about it by adding, though, because this can multiply or divide. So yeah, we put on 2 zeros, but I'm really multiplying by 100. When I multiply by 100, this becomes 40, and it bumps that decimal over 2 places. Imagine that we had a 0 there. This decimal is now here, but we don't even need to write it because it's unnecessary now. And that becomes 40%. So that's exactly why we go 2 places, because that's actually doing a times 100 in the fraction. Now, if you want to write this down, that whole little conversion thing there of why the 2 places. So essentially what's under the squiggly, you could write down that. That's the explanation of why the 2 decimal place bump. Other questions? Joey, thank you very much for asking that. I appreciate the question. What's your identity? If I ask you about your identity, what am I asking about?
Oh gosh. Who are you? Well, you're asking about my name.
Who are you, right? Like you. Like your identity. If we don't want to change who you are, your identity is going to stay the same, right? If you don't change, you are your identity. The identity property of multiplication. I'm going to bring this screen down as soon as people are we good on writing, or do I need to wait? Check this out. The identity property of multiplication is a fancy way of saying nothing really changes. Identity means you stay the same. So if I click on this, it says the identity property of multiplication, you can read. Multiplying an expression by 1 leaves the expression unchanged. So if I have 437, and then I put an x on it, and now I have 437x, and I multiply by 1, I don't change anything, I just still have 437x. That's where Giant 1 came from. And this should not really be a new concept for us from last year. That's why we put the 1 around the 4 over 4, because it's just 1. And we're not technically changing anything, right? Technically, it's the same thing. Now it looks, there's a trash can there. It looks different, right? Different numbers. 10 became 40, 25 became, it's quote unquote different, but it's not. It's the same thing. That's why it's called the identity property. This is why if you want to use Giant 1, it's perfect method. So let's practice this for a moment. Let's look at B here. We don't need to answer A. We understand why 4 over 4 is called the Giant 1. If I do what I and double I are asking, what am I going to get? So go ahead and dive into this as a team. And you can write this out like differently if you want. You can write it as 9/25ths and then do your arrows if you want, but your arrows are going to be 6 and 6. You do not have to do the Giant 1. We're just going to practice the multiplication that we're doing here. I know. I'm trying to make your life easy.
I love that way.
I'm trying to let you choose your mathematical adventures.
I'm just saying, we're not going to use that in real life.
Well, you use the idea, but you're not actually going to use like how you write it. Yeah. Yeah, I got cards. Why aren't we using those?
Because you don't feel like
Aiden, what's 9 times 6? What? 54. And 25 times 6.
That's a good question.
Anybody?
150.
50. Now, is this going to get us to the percent or the fraction value? Or, sorry, percent or decimal value? Now, I'm over 150. But we're just practicing what we got going on here. What? Hey, I got a lot of side conversations that I don't really think are math.
Sorry, I dropped my snack.
I have 6 over 15. Don't know why this turned blue. If I triple the bottom and the top, what do I get? Adrian, what do I get? What's 6 times 3? 18. 15 times 3, Joey? 45. Now, what if we know what numerator we're trying to make, or we know what denominator we're trying to make, like your homework last night, right? You had some situations where you had to manipulate how many the whole was going to be, or how many, like, blue, or how many teddy bears, or those different probability situations. And I don't think there were blue teddy bears. Okay, so now that Smart Ink has started working again, I'm going to show you guys what my normal plan is for taking notes. When I have space to write in the textbook, especially for my people that write a little bit slower like me, I'm a slow writer, I keep the Smart file up on the TV. I need you guys to be aware of this in case like you're writing slower on some day. Before I move on, I try to remember to capture this. It's up on the TV now, so I can clear it and move on. Okay, so if you're still writing and I move on, look up on the TV. It should have what we had just done. That makes a loud camera noise. Write down both of those. You don't have to use the giant one if you want to use the arrows, but you need to leave space to write what we're going to fill in there. With your group, try to figure out what are we multiplying by. We're doing it on top and bottom, but to get to that new numerator or that new denominator, what are we multiplying by? I'll give you a couple minutes to work on this. She went to the nurse. She wasn't feeling good.
Her finder's care.
I know, she dropped off her stuff, but then she went. She might have just needed a little bit, or she might be sick. Guys, if you really feel like you're sick, please, like, take yourself home. Don't come to school, whatever. Like, don't make us all sick. Sometimes you just need a day to let your body recover. We'll do cards in about a minute. So get these finished up. We're going to do random cards. See who can help me. I think you weren't here, and then I put your card back. You missed it. You missed it. Not yesterday, but the day before. Weren't you? You were absent, or at least not in my class. Are you sure? I don't know what you consider a bunch. We've only been in school for like 3 weeks. Greta, what do we need to multiply by in this top part to turn my 5 into 40? Sorry, what was that? 8. So if we multiply by 8 on top, we do the same on bottom, and my denominator, anybody? 56. Be careful. 7 times 8, I've always found interesting because 8, 7, 6, 5. But it's not 65, it's 5, 6. So, one thing you can remember is 5, 6 equals 7, 8. That's one way that you can try to remember that multiplication. And Kevin, what do we multiply by and what I have written in red? 10.
Good job, Kevin.
Perfect. So, back to our original question that Layla asked us, right? 3/7 versus 2/5. 3/7. So now we got a visual, right? We have 3/7 shaded, and we have. Wait, who can make sense of what we're doing? Why are we doing this? Anybody? Joey? I'm sorry. Yeah, but what, like, physically, have we changed what we shaded? Have we... Adrian?
We haven't changed anything, it just simplifies it.
Okay, but with what purpose? Why?
I don't know.
Vision.
What?
Visual.
Yeah. When I ask this question, you're all probably going to have like a groan moment. Or like, oh, we should have known this. What do you need before you can add or subtract fractions? Common denominators. What do I need before I can really easily compare fractions? common denominator. This is physically, like actually making a common denominator based off how many blocks. So 3 out of 7. Still 3 out of 7. But I sliced it up into a lot more blocks. So I sliced it into 35 different squares. And now 5, 10, 15 of them are shaded. So what we really did, and if you would like to write this down, it would be fantastic because it will help your brain. What do we multiply by? 5, right? We cut it into 5 horizontal slices, and we get 15 over 35. Do the same to get your 2/5 to have a denominator of 35, and then compare. So as a group, come up with an answer of which has more 35ths. As like with your team. You say my name so angry. No, I can't, because your group is supposed to have a book out. So I'll move when I'm done laying these out, but you guys not having a book out.
I feel like I'm not in that pile.
You guys are literally the closest people to the textbooks.
I have a textbook.
I mean, if you're just using it for class. Oh, by the way, that's a great announcement that needs to be made. If you are currently in possession, locker, home, whatever, of a book that is not yours, it needs to be brought back and left to you. You can only take your book out of the classroom. Okay, so you not right now, but like tomorrow or whatever, you currently have a book outside the classroom that isn't yours, it needs to come back. Ivan, what do I multiply by to turn my 2/5 into a denominator of 35? 1, 2, 5. Okay, I'm talking with Ivan. 7, right? Because I know from 5 to 35, I got to multiply by 7. So my numerator does the same thing, and I get 14, which is bigger. My 15 35ths is bigger, right? So my 3/7 is bigger than 2/5. Here's how we write that. I'm running out of space, but I'm still going to make it fit. We write 3/7, and then the crocodile, right, or the gator, whatever you've been taught, is bigger than 2/5.
We've been taught that crocodile. Is that supposed to be a crocodile? And Miss Freer said no.
I mean, you can make it a shark. Yes. Okay. Jalen's got a question.
It looks like, because the way that that little crocodile or shark thing is facing, it looks like that one is going to eat that one, that indicating that one is bigger.
So this is the animal, the numbers are the prey, right? So you have to think about, if I'm the animal and I'm between two things, and I have to choose one of them to turn and eat, I'm going to eat the bigger one. The other creature just gets kind of forgotten about.
Unless you're not so a bunny.
If you did not watch Shark Week this year, you missed out on seeing Shaq Week. Shaq was part of Shark Week. It was great. All right.
Shark Week is my favorite.
Now, hold up. In your homework, I forget if it was last night's or tonight's or which one, you are asked to rewrite fractions just in 3 ways. Hey, why all the side conversation? It does not say with a denominator of 10 or 100 or 1,000. It does not say make it a decimal. It does not say make it a percent. It just says rewrite. Hey, Ava, if you're heading home or whatever, I'm recording too, so whatever you've missed, like you haven't missed. Okay. But you're not actually missing anything. So with your group, I want you to write 3 new ones. So you'll have a total of 4. So you're going to start, don't just write down the new ones. Start by writing down the original 7/12. Then you're going to have equal to another, equal to another, equal to another. Use the giant one strategy. You don't actually have to write the giant one, but use the giant one strategy to find out these fractions. Then we're just gonna like rapid fire ask you guys to list them. So I'm gonna give you probably 3 or 4 minutes to work on this to try to get through all of these. Now there's honestly infinitely many options, but don't go crazy. Like don't multiply by 8,472 on top and bottom. That's just gonna make things challenging. I know. Because there's not enough time to do everything, so I choose what I feel is important. What? I mean, that wouldn't get too crazy. You could make them smaller. If both numbers could be divided by the same thing, you could make them smaller also. Especially for me, for homework, writing numbers that small is making it challenging. Like I would make a number in it's not whole fraction.
Good question.
Now we did not say that we have to turn it into 100, so that might actually be too challenging for you. It might be easier to just pick what number you want to multiply by, because you could do it as easy as just double the top and double the bottom. What multiplication does that mean?
24.
It works. I can't really define whether it's lazy or not. I mean, it's all I'm asking you to do is multiply by a number on top of it. You have other ones, or else it's just start a new version. Oh, yeah, you'll be. So, how do you know that you transition less than 0? From today's notes? Or
Hi, sister.
because we can fix those holes. Yeah, let me fix these for you real quick. Wait, we're piecing it.
Okay, anyone else want to come up with one for each of them? One of you can do
Skipping whole entire sections of problems.
I feel like this should go here, so I take up less space. And then this should go here. See, less space. Oh yeah, no. We need 3 of them.
In a minute, I'm going to start calling on people. I will call on 3 different people for every fraction. So I will stop. I'm using cards. I will end up calling on 9 different people here. Okay, 3 different people for each of the fractions.
What's your YouTube channel? 27.
Micah Hudson, just my name. Nothing fancy.
Might be like, hey,
Micah's Magical Math Adventure at Phoenix Middle. No, that'd be really complicated to find. So I
or
just
just
made up
put
the name.
Phoenix Middle School. How did I even get
I didn't want my Twitter to be my name since it's my school, so I made that Phoenix Math Man. Because Mr. Kabila is Phoenix Psi Guy. Alright! I do have a Twitter. I don't really use it for anything. Sophia! Give me a fraction that's equal to 7/12. Sophia. 112 over 192. Now, what was your multiplier to get there? You have to be able to tell me what you multiplied by. Did you write out your work how you should have?
Yes.
I'm not using it if you can't tell me what the multiplier is.
Okay, I choose a different one then. 14 over 24.
14 over 24. Who's got that one on their paper? That was a nice, easy double then. Jalen, give me another. For blue. Guys, if you don't have the ones that we're listing, please get them on your paper. So we did times 2. We did times 3. Natalie, give me another one.
I got called?
You got called.
Yes, you got called. Okay.
Wait, no. 21, 36.
We did times 3. 7 times 3, 12 times 3. So I drew the arrow up there, but I don't have a ton of space down here. Natalie? 28. And what's on bottom then? 48. So that'd be our times 4. Everyone agree with these? All good? Alright, it's up on the TV if you need it. I need space.
Can I just do this tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Nathan, give me one equal to 3/10. 6/20. Sure, if we double the top and double the bottom. Sky, give me another one. 12/40. Sky just doubled the 6, and she worked from that fraction. Hold on, question. Do I always have to start from the original fraction?
No.
No, I can do whatever I want to any of these. So I doubled to make it to 6/20. I doubled to make it to 12/40, and I could just again double and do 24/80. Make my life real easy. Double, double, double. You have another one for red? You have purple.
Yeah.
What else you got?
9/30.
9/30. What'd you do to get there, Aiden?
I did 3 times 3.
Times 3 on top and bottom. So there are a lot of other ones. Now, can anyone tell me with what I have in purple, so part C, how I can make my life easier? Riley?
Multiply them by 2.
Nope. I mean, yes, I could, but that's not how I can, like, go easier first. Joey? Make them smaller first. Both of these are able to be divided by 3. So if I divide by 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9. Now, wait a minute. Can I make those smaller again?
Yeah.
Yeah, divide by 3 again. Now we can also think of that as multiplication by the fraction 1/3. Then, once I'm at my small fraction, could I like double the top and bottom?
You could do
You betcha.
1854.
You could do 2 to 6. 18, what'd you say, 18 what? 1854. So as long as that's 27
Yeah, it's 9
times
to 27.
2. Yeah.
27 times 2.
It is.
So there are honestly infinitely many options here. You can keep multiplying on top, you can keep dividing, like whatever you do on top, you gotta do on bottom. Any questions from this problem? Any questions?
Yes.
Oh, I have a question.
Now.
It's like not math related, but it's
Okay.
about your YouTube channel.
Okay.
So like if you have a question, like when you're at home sick, could you like comment?
Yeah, but I won't see that as soon necessarily, so it'd still be better to text me.
What if you don't have notifications?
I don't care about strangers on the internet. I'm
But
sorry.
I'm not a stranger.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
but
that,
if
you
you
have my
don't-
cell phone number.
Oh yeah.
And because you have my cell phone number, use it.
Or we could comment down below yourself.
Yeah, but that's still on. Alright, I only have 5 minutes. We gotta keep going. Audrey, Carla, and Lisa have been offered a prize from Mrs. Golden. Right? So I'm Adele, sorry. She's looking from the other side, apparently. They're in a competition to see who read the most of their book last night. Now, Adele stopped singing for a little while, and she read 5/8 of her book. Carla read 12/16, and Lisa read 13/24. And they all think they read the most. So, I need you guys, you guys, as your team, to figure out how can we compare all three of their fractions together. Do not take it to percent or decimal. Yeah, don't take it to percent or decimal. Let's just try to work with this how it is. I'll give you 3 minutes to do this. 3 minutes, a minute for each fraction. Go for it. That's what I'm asking. What? More so I'm asking where. Where is this word? Come on, guys. No, you can learn how to work with your group, which will make you stronger as a person. Where's our writing for this problem, guys? No, new pages. Hey guys, I'm getting real, over having to individually invite each of you to engage in what we're doing. I'm getting real tired of it. So we need to go back to everybody sits at a single desk, nobody talks with each other, and we just here, I wrote this on the board, you have to write this. We're not moving on, I don't want to do that. That's not why I became a teacher. I like letting you guys be able to work with each other. I like letting you guys see your classmates while you're working on math. And I like you guys engaging in the ideas at your own pace. But if I have to walk around and invite each of you to start as I walk around the room, and then you just now care about the problem, there's the door. There isn't even a door. If you just want to leave and not do anything, just watch my YouTube or lie to me and tell me that you did. And then don't master the math and don't pass the 7th grade. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. I'm sorry to get real stern right now, but I am tired of having to ask each and every one of you to do the problem. And I'm not actually talking to each and every one of you because some of you guys are awesome and you're rock stars right now. But some of your classmates are sitting there until I look at their paper and ask them, where's your work? And that's not how things should work. So let's take a moment. Nobody talks to anybody, and you do this on your own and experience what that's like. So 0 talking, you have 2 minutes, figure out how to compare these fractions. So then, if this was a traditional math class, like what I don't want to do, I wouldn't use random cards. I wouldn't randomly call on people. I would say, then, if you don't have this written down, you must write down the fact that 16 can turn into 8 when I divide by 2. That is the same denominator as my top fraction, which should make me happy, right? Because that's good. So I indicate what I'm doing, or I can multiply by half. Either way, because remember, division does not exist. This becomes 6/8. Now, I could actually continue to reduce that smaller, but that's unnecessary. Now, I literally hate myself right now for, what we're doing. So can somebody help me? I don't, yeah. Sky, what do we do here?
I did, so for
24 can be reduced, but 13 can't. Right? 13 is a prime number, so what Sky recognized was 24 is going to need to be my denominator if I can make them all happen. So 8 can turn into 24, as Sky said, by multiplying by 3. So I get 15. I don't even need these other fractions that I set up here, because 15 over 24, I can compare who read more, Adele or Lisa. Adele is already beating Lisa because 15 24ths is more than 13. So Lisa's out. What about when I go look at Carla and turn her into a denominator of 24? What's the numerator? 18, right? So I multiply by 3 down here, I multiply by 3 up there. Who wins? Carla. So, if you are one of the people who my announcement was directed at, figure it out. If you need to come talk with me, let's talk. But you got to decide that you're here and you're in it, and that you care about it. We will be having a small quiz tomorrow. Get your homework done. Be ready. Have a great day, guys. Let's have a better class tomorrow.